this paper, Samaila, is the most extensive paper that has been done on climate in Africa. And your leadership, we talk about, because African climate has been a narrative given to us. This is the first time that any institution has articulated the African climate narrative from an African perspective. We talk about our emission profile in ways that is so comprehensive. We talk about the role of gas in powering Africa. Africa is endowed with significant amount of gas resources. Today, it's the most stable source. It's cheaper for us. You can get gas for a few cents per kilowatt hour. We also talk about the role of the carbon sinks, Africa's forests. So important, because if you look at our emission profile, if you just add our carbon sinks, if we can preserve that, we are already at net zero. It also talks about transitional metals. Everybody's gotten out of mining, but for even renewable energy to go, to support that, we need all the African metals, which currently they're being depleted at a very cheap price. It is also talking about the role of industrialization and to cut emissions. It talks about the need to innovate. Africa is inherited already a warmed world where others have developed in our back. So the idea of localizing manufacturing and also supporting getting the money from those who industrialize to support Africa to adapt to the impacts of climate change that everyone has talked about, and also for us to develop in a sustainable way are key. So we have a great panel here, and we have the chairman of Afri-Exim Bank, a key partner and a key supporter, and an institution we have worked a lot together on. That is Dr. Benedict Orama, to really talk about this report and what it entails. So I'll start with Samaila Zubairu, the president, to highlight, and then we will hear from our partners. We also have Mr. Tangwe Gahoma. He is someone we are working very closely with from Gabon. He happens to be the chair of the African Group of Negotiators. In climate, you have three forces. You have the negotiators, and we want to hear from him as to how we are approaching the negotiation. Are we going to get more money, which has to be in the form of concessional or grants to support Africa adapt to this arena? So what are we taking to COP27? And then we have Professor Carlos Lopez, professor in the Mandela School of Public and Government, University of Cape Town, and also an associate at Chatham House. These are the key makers that could spread the messages on this report. So let me first turn it over to Samaila briefly and to talk about what do you want to hear from this panel, and then we will go to the chair of African Group of Negotiators to highlight what are the political stance that we're taking to COP27. We will turn it over to our partner institution, and then we will end with Professor Carlos Lopez to give us a perspective as to how this report fares, in your opinion, and how would it unite the African voice around the climate angle. President Samaila.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So I've said a lot about the climate paper and its importance. I think my key message on the climate is I want consensus of African leadership about what the issues are and what we should be focusing on ahead of COP27. I've talked about the need for us to localize industry. I've talked about the need for us to build resilient infrastructure. I've also talked about the need for us to financially innovate, Finovate as we call it. This is important because we need capital to crowd in. I would stop here because I know we're pressed for time and ask the next person to speak.
Thank you very much, Excellency, the Vice President of Nigeria, President of Ghana. I just want to say that this white paper is really important for Africa. Africa is maybe one of the most important continents today in terms of climate change, because we are not responsible of the situation, but we suffer the most today from climate change. The last scientific reports say already that when in the other region of the world, the temperature will rise by 1 degree Celsius. In Africa, it will mean 2 degrees Celsius. So we will suffer the most about climate change, and we don't have the capacity today to face this negative impact of climate change. We know already that the sea level rise, the water management in our city will be very, very challenging for us, but we don't have money for that. And this is what we say in Glasgow. It's clear that we need to put a lot of effort in terms of keep the trajectory of 1.5 degree alive, because this is what the planet needs. But we also need to think about our population, our people, our continent, how we can face the climate change. And the priority for Africa, it's mitigation, yes, but it's also adaptation, how we can be resilient to what will happen in the next couple of years. This is why we really work on the climate finance. This white paper from AFC has 3 pillars: localize, rebuild, and innovate. And we really think that this is what Africa needs. We need to localize, because our cities today, 80% of the people of Africa live in the city. So we need to have some resilient infrastructure, some resilient ports, some resilient road, because we don't want to lose any more money. We need to develop ourselves. We need also to rebuild. Rebuild for us means that we need to be resilient. We need to adapt our strategy, our national plan to what will come in the next few years. And in finance, it's really important. Finance is the core element of all the action on climate change. And today, 12 years after this commitment from developed country that we will have the 100 billion per year, this is a failure. In Glasgow last year, every country can hear that the 100 billion per year is not achieved. But this is the 100 billion per year is not what we need. It's a political signal. It's not the real cost of climate change in the world or in Africa. It's just a political signal. It's a commitment. It's something that we need just to build the trust with our partner, to say, okay, we will build efforts. We will continue to fight with you against climate change. But we are not responsible. We suffer with that, and we need that in COP27 there is a clear announcement on where we are in terms of 100 billion per year. And we need also to start this new work on what is the real cost of climate change. Because today they say that the private sector need to take the lead. Private sector, it's clear, need to be part of this adventure. But the public money from this developed country will help us to catalyze the effort and to raise more money. So we really need that in COP27 we can have some commitments, because now we are on a delivery plan for 100 billion per year. But this is not what we want. We think that promise, it's not time for promise now, it's time to act. The scientists, the IPCC say that we are less than 10 years if we want to solve the negative impact of climate change. So we need to act today, and for that we need money. We need to invest money in private sector. We need to innovate, so to find a new mechanism to finance African infrastructure, African energy. You talk about natural gas, but for natural gas we need to change our model, because today we work on oil only, so we need to see who will who will finance this cost? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tanguy. I think we have messages to take it to COP27. I would like to briefly ask Dr. Orama, the chair, I'll give you my microphone, and then we will go to His Excellency, the President of Ghana, and our Vice President of Nigeria, to also give us their commentary, and then we'll come back to Professor Carlos Lopez to end from an academic point of view, what is there?
I have this. No, thank you very much. And let me also extend our greetings to His Excellency President Akufo-Addo and His Excellency Vice President Osibanjo for joining us, and to thank my brother, partner, Samaila, for involving us in this really very important event. Congratulations on 15 years of very impactful existence. It's not always easy to see an African institution achieve what you've achieved within such a short period. So we must congratulate you. And it is by having institutions like yourselves, ourselves, and others that we are going to be able to begin to deal with those problems ahead of things mentioned here in the panel. Now, when I was informed that Samaila asked me to join a panel on climate change, I hesitated because I don't like to join climate change discussions in Africa, because I found that it's always like a chorus of what is the song that is sung somewhere else, and then we chorus here, and it's an echo chamber. But when I then got the document from Makadu, and we looked at it, I said, oh, this one is completely different. And I remembered immediately the very, very inspiring speech President Akufo-Addo delivered in Glasgow. I said, now we're beginning to sharpen our thoughts. And I thank you for putting it on paper. And I must say, we never thought of doing that. But this document will inspire us to do something. And one thing we will do is with the secular argument, because the secular argument underpins the work we are doing under the AFC FTA to create the regional supply chains that require. So if those who want to save the climate are really serious, they should put down the $10 billion for the adjustment facility we need to make AFC FTA work. They should put down the $40 billion we need to support businesses. And then we know that we begin to do something. And then we look at the COP 27 that we'll be going to. The important thing from our perspective is we must push as a people that we must set the target for net zero on a per capita basis. We should set per person. When we set per person, we will then see that Africa has a long way to go. Because that then gives us the room to begin to use our available transition energy, gas, and other things to develop our place to bring us to some level. So we can then have a mix of fossil and renewable energy that enables us to develop. So I have to stop because I know that we're short of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So I think we are actually, my boss, Mark Ero, said that we are going to go to Professor Lopez quickly.
Just for 1 minute. And I'm standing by right here with my microphone with Their Excellencies.
And then
just
we
1
will
minute.
invite the presidents here and also open up the report and present to you DISCO report. Thank you. Just one minute. You're okay. Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I will have a chance later in the day to intervene, but I just wanted to mention that this report brings 3 messages that are very important. The first message is the message about climate justice. We have been through a period where basically this is not recognized, and the report tries to bring this issue at the forefront. The second is about climate finance. Lots of promises, Tangier was just mentioning it, and not fulfilled. And how can we overcome that gap, particularly with African institutions, and AFC is doing its bit. The third message is about how we negotiate, because this is basically a platform to negotiate. In the international arena, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. And that's very important message that comes across. And finally, the last is the issue of standard setting. Because, we can define net zero, as Benedict was just mentioning, in many ways. We can define targets in many ways. Even the 1.5 degrees is a target that has been defined to suit certain types of needs of certain types of countries, not ours. So it's very important to enter into the debate about standard settings, certification, standardization. All of that is crucial, and the report brings that forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Carlos Lopez, easily one of the biggest brains we have in Africa, the former ECA chairman. Thank you very much for concluding that panel. Now, Your Excellencies, I'm going to call upon you. I know that we've taken a lot of your time, but if I could ask you maybe to join us on stage, because I'd like to take a photograph with the panel, and also I will then ask you just for your initial comments on this white paper. So if you could just join me, we'll go onto the stage for the final and last exercise before you have to depart from the proceedings. So if you just join me, we're going to remain standing, Your Excellencies. If I could ask you to come to the middle. Now, Your Excellencies, knowledge is power, I said, and you heard from some of the most knowledgeable minds on this issue of the road to COP27. If I could start, please, I think with our host representing the President Muhammadu Buhari, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, just your thoughts on this white paper and the significance of what it contains.
Thank you very much. I think the white paper sets out very clearly and simply the roadmap for success. And I think that the basic elements, localizing, rebuilding, and innovating or innovating, as is described, I think that these concepts are very important and very powerful concepts indeed. But I was particularly intrigued by the concept of developing a circular economy as opposed to shipping all our commodities and minerals halfway around the world before coming back here, that we could actually localize and build local industry. And that way we will save on emissions and at the same time develop local industry. So I think these are very powerful concepts, and I'm very impressed with the report. Thank you.
Please, Your Excellency, your thoughts.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited about the decision of the AFC to produce this document. Before we went to COP26 in Glasgow, we didn't have an opportunity to sit down as the Africa bloc or to decide on a common platform that we were going to urge at COP26. I don't think we can afford to do that going to COP27 in Egypt. This document provides us a basis for which we can then go forward to adopt a common position in COP27. So I want to congratulate you, President, for producing this document, and hopefully we will find an opportunity within the structure of the AU to have this as a base document for a discussion as to what our common position should be for COP26. COP27.
You could say no more. Thank you, Your Excellencies. Can I now ask you to all stand with the document so that we can take the family photo, as we call it in Niger? There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the roadmap to Africa's COP, a pragmatic path to net zero, Africa Finance Corporation's guidebook to net zero, a fair and just an equitable energy transition. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to put your hands together for His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo and His Excellency Vice President Yemi Osinbajo for joining us at AFC Live 2022. Now, if you could please remain standing as they leave the building. Please do not leave your seats, but remain standing as we as the dignitaries depart. But I want to thank them again. That was absolutely wonderful.